I'll go back to my whole thing of exploring any idea is always worth it. Making mistakes is always worth it.
No.
Because
No.
I have an idea. I have an idea.
This is going away. You've lost your privileges. You've lost your privileges.
And Ami did not make it to 2025.
No. Ami. Coming up on Need to Know, have you ever heard of wine pie? Eva Longoria's new cookbook and New Year's traditions to bring you good luck. All that and everything else you need to know. Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Need to Know. I'm Gemma Stafford, professional chef, cookbook author, and the creator of Bigger Bolder Baking. And as always, my partners in crime are here with me. Ami Shukla, who is the culinary director at Bigger Bolder Baking, and Tiana Cohen, who is an amateur baker but a professional host.
Hello.
Hi ladies, how are you?
Good.
How were the holidays?
So fun. I ate a lot.
Yeah,
As always.
That means it was good. It was a good holiday.
It was good.
But we're finally on the other side of all the holiday hustle and bustle. This week is coined to be Feral Week, is what the internet calls it. Just a week where you veg out between Christmas and the New Year. And so I'm so excited to kind of talk about ways to gear up for the new year. And coming to you hot from the oven, Delish had an article about unnecessary kitchen items if you're over 30, which I did think that was kind of funny, the specificity here of age. But unnecessary kitchen items got me thinking, the holidays are over, the new year's about to start. I like to clean things out, have a fresh start for the year. So according to this article, here are what they think you should throw out of your kitchen: dull knives, glass or marble cutting boards, shot glass collections, old takeout containers that you use as food storage, expired spices, and then any unnecessary appliances. So just with this list, people who might be just got a bunch of new stuff from the holidays, they're cleaning things out. What do you think about this list?
I'm feeling personally attacked right now. I mean, you're not. What am I supposed to do with? Oh, I'm not allowed to reuse takeout containers.
Not if you're over 30.
And dull knives. If I throw out my dull knives, I have no knives.
Well, also, what a waste. Why would you throw out dull knives? Sharpen them.
Yeah,
sharpen them. Or learn how to sharpen your knives. I sharpen my knives all the time.
You can sharpen my knives.
Okay.
And also spices. My spices are like 3 years old. What am I supposed to do? Buy new spices?
Well, spices do get old. And I mean, they don't go bad, but they lose their flavor, they lose their aroma.
Stuff like ginger and stuff that I use so rarely. I should, But I think that's over 30. The good news is I'm over 40, so that doesn't apply to me.
Yeah, so you can circle back and you can have all of these things. I thought the shot glass collection was so funny because
that's a real one.
That's real. People travel, and I feel like either if you're the one traveling or if you're getting somebody a gift, if you're traveling, everyone always gets you or brings back a shot glass.
That shouldn't be a thing anymore. Like, I think that we should all agree that that's just a no.
Because also how often?
Who's drinking shots?
How often, especially if you're over 30, I get it. How often are you pouring shots for a bunch of people? Why do you need a whole collection?
Never. Even in my 20s, I was never into that. That was never a thing that I did.
So what I do want to know is what you would consider an unnecessary appliance.
Well, there are certain things that, I don't particularly like appliances if I can use a pot, for example. Like, a lot of people would argue with me, but something like a rice cooker, you don't need a rice cooker. You can just cook rice in a pot. My husband is so sad that I made us get rid of our rice cooker because he loved cooking rice in it. And I was just like, well, you don't need it. You can use a pot. And he was like, oh, well, I like to steam vegetables in it. And I was like, well, yeah, but you can also use a pot for that. Yeah. So I would 100%, I would say a rice cooker, though I think a lot of people would disagree with me.
I think a lot of people who eat a lot of rice would disagree. But I have to say, I agree with you. Like, you just use a pot. Yeah. I will say that anything that has one use, I have no space for in my kitchen. And I have quite a big kitchen with a lot of storage, but I have a lot of appliances. So absolutely nothing that does just one job. Right. So I remember years ago I was gifted this crock pot, and it was like almost $500 crock pot, which why? And it came with an arm to stir risotto, because when you're making risotto, it has to be constantly stirred. And I thought this was the stupidest thing ever. That like, why would anybody do that? Why would you need this? And then this arm was taking up space in the cupboard. I eventually got rid of the arm, but I have to say, you can buy, and I have done this, a slow cooker in Walgreens, which is a pharmacy. Little mini ones. I've bought them for when I used to do catering in offices. And they're a cheap little brand. They were $20. It still works to this day. This 500 crock pot, nobody, myself, Kevin, or Georgia's nanny, Maria, who cooks in the house also, none of us can figure out is it on? The button is flashing. Is it supposed to be flashing? What setting is it on? It's just so confusing. And I know, like, we love to cook stuff for, like, all day with a slow cooker, but it will take this machine all day to get like the meat the way you want it. So that was definitely, I'm glad I didn't pay for it, but that would have been a waste of money.
Yeah. I mean, slow cookers are great. They do one thing very well that I don't think anything else can really replace.
Yeah.
But if I was starting out and getting something, I would just get an Instant Pot, because you can you can use it as a slow cooker. You can use it as a pressure cooker. You can use it to make yogurt. You can use it for rice. It's a multi-use appliance. And I think ultimately the best appliances are multi-use.
That's true.
If you start to have, you love your air fryer. I would just say roast things in the oven.
No.
So different. I love my air fryers.
Air fryers are the best.
Yeah, I don't know. I just roast things in the oven.
Yeah, but like my oven, I have two ovens, a smaller one and a big one. The big one takes ages to preheat. The smaller one doesn't. But when you have especially a small child, and you have two kids, when you're like when you're doing like fish fingers, I even bake off little croissants in there for him in the morning. The air fryer is game changer. Yeah, I know. I can hear by that. I'm not convincing you.
I'm with you, Gemma.
Yeah, that was a mom.
There's nothing I can't make in the air fryer.
Air fryers are the best.
Yeah, I think I don't have a lot of counter space, so I definitely think, or like a panini press. Again, like cook it on a stove, on an iron skillet.
I do have a panini press that was gifted to us also, and I have to say I could live without it.
I picked one up at a garage sale that was like brand new in a box for $5. I was like, oh, great, a panini press. And it stayed in my cabinet, and then a year later I donated it to somebody else's garage sale. So I was like, I don't need this.
I have a Pizzelle press. I'm not a Pizzelle eater. Like, I had somebody over here, a friend who her family is Italian, and she was like, this is amazing, like, you have this. And I was like, but I don't make these. I will say I can get pretty crafty, and my George and I a few weeks ago made homemade ice cream cones, and I used the Pizzelle press with I made ice cream cone batter. I put in the Pizzelle press, and we rolled them, and he had homemade ice cream cones, and he was beside himself. They were a bit thick, but they were really yummy.
Yeah. I don't know. What is a Pizzelle press?
It's Italian cookie that is almost.
Oh, yes.
It's very flat. It's thin. It's crispy. It almost looks not like a snowflake, but it's all kind of like this. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
We have a recipe on biggerbolderbaking.com, and that's why I have the press. But yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
do you know what else I would say was unnecessary is a bread maker?
Oh,
you don't need a bread maker.
The bread maker.
The beauty of bread is the simplicity of it.
Yeah.
Flour, water, salt, and thyme, and you have bread. Some yeast, or unless you're doing a sourdough. That is all you need, and that's so wonderful. And you don't need this giant thing to throw it. It's a wonderful thing to keep very simple and slow.
Bread maker is just so unnecessary. And then also, like, I don't think a bread maker will, I don't know because I never used one, but like, what about sourdoughs and stuff like that? Like, you need to wait the time and everything. It just seems like if you're making like a white loaf sliced pan kind of a situation. But yeah, no, for me, totally unnecessary.
So you kind of mentioned a topic we're going to talk about a little later already when you mentioned this crock pot that you were gifted. So we asked our audience, we asked all of you to send us some of your worst gifts you've ever received. under the umbrella of baking or in the kitchen. So I'm letting you both know now, this is your warning to start thinking about it, because we're going to talk about it during our bold baking hotline. I want to hear from you in addition to this crock pot, maybe a gift that wasn't the best for you. So stick around for that. Next, I really want to move on to this crazy thing I saw on TikTok. I was scrolling on TikTok and I saw this woman making a wine pie. And when I say that, I genuinely mean a wine pie. This woman had a pre-made pie crust, looked like a graham cracker crust, and she poured to the brim red wine, sprinkled sugar all on it, just drizzled, I don't even think she measured, drizzled vanilla, and then topped with cinnamon and baked the pie and ate it. And I was stunned. Have you ever heard of wine pie?
I watched this video. Is this a joke? Like, was it a joke?
Well, this is what when I saw this video, I thought, is she a comedian? Like, is this fun? Who is this person? And no, I don't think so.
No.
She seemed to just be having fun. But it did make me think like, oh, this is so simple. You don't even have to stir it. You can just pour all of this stuff into a crust. And I really think like in the world of things have to be simple, ingredients have to be minimal, methods have to be easy. How difficult is it to pour wine into a bowl and mix it with some sugar and cinnamon and then pour it into the crust? Like that is not hard. There's nothing difficult about that. It's okay to dirty a single bowl when you're trying to make this.
I have to say, you saw two very different things. You saw somebody doing a method the wrong way, and I saw somebody making a wine pie. Ami.
I mean,
never mind how she made it. A freaking wine pie.
The wine would not cook out. It would just be extremely but it looked like it thickened. It looked like it sort of set in some way. So it was that much sugar that caramelized in the wine. I don't understand what I was looking at.
Well, I did some research because I wanted to know, is this a real thing or is this woman just messing with us on TikTok? And the only real research that or history I could find is that there is a real thing called a grape pie, which stems from Naples, New York, and it was created as a way to get when Concord grapes. It was, again, we go back to these marketing campaigns. A grape pie was made to help sell Concord grapes. And so now it's like a whole thing. And in this town in New York, it's called the grape capital of the world. So I'm like, okay, over time have people known that you can make pie with grapes and have like, well, grapes are wine. And I did find one recipe online that is a pie recipe made with wine and chocolate. But there's more ingredients in it, not just wine, sugar.
The chocolate you would make sort of a ganache with wine and chocolate, like it melted together.
More hearty.
That makes, I don't know how good that would taste, but it definitely makes more sense to me in terms of how you would set the filling.
For those of you watching and listening, definitely check out the video because the link is in the show notes. I am not on board with this pie. And I wasn't sold at all that this works. So I made one yesterday. It's been setting overnight and we're going to try it later at the end of this episode. Don't worry, I did not use good wine. No good wine was sacrificed in the making of this pie. I sent Kevin to the supermarket as I was like, if you spend more than $5 on that wine, I swear to God, Kevin.
Well,
You'll find out. Let me tell you something. It did not happen the way that she said.
I'm so curious now. I can't wait.
And we haven't even tried it yet. So brace yourselves.
Well, you heard it here. Stick around for the end of this episode where we will be trying the viral wine pie and letting you know if it really works or if not. I'm really excited. It's almost lunchtime. We can have wine. It's fine. So I have one more topic here for Hot from the Oven. And that is Desperate Housewives alum Eva Longoria appeared on Good Morning America and The Kelly Clarkson Show to talk all about her new cookbook, My Mexican Kitchen, which is a celebration of Mexican ingredients and traditions with over 100 recipes. Something that I thought was really interesting when she was on The Kelly Clarkson Show, they were making French toast, and she revealed some ingredients that for her are kind of her non-negotiables when making these specific recipes to keep them traditionally to the Mexican culture. And one of them was piloncillo. Piloncillo, yeah, I think I said it, which is a refined Mexican sugar made from cane juice, which she said comparatively is like the closest relation would be brown sugar to it. But what I thought was so interesting really about this is that it was a non-negotiable. If you're going to make this specific French toast, you have to use this. So I wanted to know, is there any ingredients for you, either of you, that are, if you're making something that's traditionally Irish or tradition in your household, that it's like a non-negotiable ingredient? You must use this, otherwise it's not authentic.
So in Ireland, for our recipes, we use pretty standard ingredients, like stuff that I can go to like a supermarket here and like find. So buttermilk and baking soda, and eggs, flour, sugar, like nothing too different. For our soda bread, you do have to use buttermilk. Soda bread is on the heavier side and it is risen without yeast. And the soda and the buttermilk react. So you need buttermilk for our soda bread, even though for other quick breads you can make without buttermilk. And I will say that something that I learned over time is, we have a lot of bread puddings on biggerbolderbaking.com. There's one that is my mum's one that I absolutely love. And that is the one that I love all bread puddings, but that is the one that to me is an Irish bread pudding. And, we don't put like cinnamon. Cinnamon wouldn't be a spice that's widely used in Ireland, or was not when I was growing up. And even today, like not as much, but maybe in our holiday baking with mincemeat, Christmas cakes and stuff like that. Generally year round, we wouldn't use it. I always thought of it as an American spice. But nutmeg is what we use in our traditional bread and butter pudding. And that flavor, and we talked about this previously in an episode around in the last 2 episodes, where nutmeg is a very strong flavor. It is definitely distinctive, and you need a very little bit. But a little bit of nutmeg in that custard to me says like Irish bread and butter pudding. And in Ireland, we use like what we call in Ireland sliced pan, which is just regular sandwich bread, like white sandwich bread. We're not getting fancy like they would in your household, Ami, with challah and brioche and things like that. It's just standard white bread, which I just love.
I also remember a few years ago we made an Irish apple tart for the website, and up until then, any apple pie or apple tart that I've ever made always had cinnamon in it.
I remember this.
And we made it with it was just sugar and lemon, and it was so simple, and it changed my world. I thought, oh, this is so good, and I can really taste the apples. And I think it was one of the biggest surprises for me was how good it was with just how simple the flavors were.
I remember because we had to write up the recipe and Ami was like, there's no cinnamon in it. And I was like, yeah, because we don't really use cinnamon. I remember years ago when we were on holiday in America, and I went to a restaurant and we had apple pie and it had cinnamon in it. And I remember like it being so I was just so like thrown. I was like, why is there cinnamon in this apple pie? Like it makes no sense. But so yeah, it's one of those things that you like, what you're used to.
Do you have any non-negotiables, Ami?
Well, I was thinking a lot about this. I make so many different things. I don't know that I personally come from that, but growing up with parents from India, there was very particular flavors to just about any Indian dessert, or the many that we had in our house. I always hate to say every one, but cardamom, saffron, pistachio, you're going to find, or any kind of nut-based, a lot of ground nuts, but particularly cardamom and saffron, and maybe some rose water, you're going to find in so many desserts.
Yeah.
And I can't taste anything with cardamom in it without it evoking this taste of an Indian dessert for me. There's also an extract that you don't find very often, but if you've had Indian desserts, you've likely tried it. It's a screw pine flower essence. In India, we call it gevra, and it's a very particular flavor. It's similar to rose water, sort of similar to saffron, but it's its own other flavor. And if you ever taste it and you've had Indian desserts, you would be like, I know exactly what that flavor is. So I've never been able to put my finger on it.
Oh, funny.
But it was interesting when I first discovered what that was. And I thought, oh, that's that flavor. That's that flavor. It's very particular.
Thank you both so much for sharing those traditions and those ingredients with us. I love how Eva's cookbook really captures Mexican traditions and showing how food connects us to culture and everything like that. And so with the new year approaching, I thought it was the perfect time to explore food's role in how you make New Year's traditions. So I'd love to move on to In the Mix, because we're going to talk about specifically New Year's food and baking traditions. A few years ago, or maybe actually, I think it might have been last year, there was a trend on TikTok where the girlies were eating grapes under a table. I don't know if either of you have ever heard of this, but it was all the girls were doing it, where it's like if you eat grapes under the table on New Year's, it's supposed to bring you good luck for the year. And it's like you're going to find the man of your dreams, all this stuff. So I'm like, this has to be a real thing. Like, this didn't just pop out of nowhere. And it is. It comes from Spain. And the actual tradition is called Las 12 uvas de la suerte, which means the 12 grapes of luck. And it involves eating one grape with each chime of the clock at midnight. And the grapes represent the months of the year. And eating them with all within the minute is said to bring good luck, success, and positive energy. So that then took me down a whole spiral of baking traditions from around the world. Have you two ever heard of any New Year's baking traditions or made any?
Well, with regards to that grape tradition, I have heard of that before. I think my sister-in-law, who's Mexican, told me about the significance of having grapes on New Year's Eve. You heard of that?
I have heard, not the 12 grapes for every chime of the clock, but I remember going to a New Year's Day party where I made a salad with grapes in it. I just happened to have put grapes in it. And someone said, oh, that's really perfect because it's what you eat on the New Year. And never heard of that before. But yeah.
In Ireland, we don't have any New Year's traditions. Definitely all of ours are Halloween. And then we obviously don't have Thanksgiving and Christmas. For the New Year, I've never heard of that.
Well, here, let me tell you some, because I found a few from around the world that I think are so interesting. This one is from Greece. It's vasilopita. Greeks bake a cake called vasilopita, traditionally with a coin hidden inside. The cake is sliced at midnight, and the person who finds the coin is said to have good luck for the year. I thought that one's fun. Like, that's a great one for kids, right? Mexico and Spain has one known as King's Cake. This is a sweet bread, is baked for Dia de Reyes, Three Kings Day, which is January 6th, marking the end of the holiday season, and a small figure of baby Jesus is hidden inside, bringing luck to the person who finds it. So similar to Greece, there's something in the bread, which I remember being in school and having in Spanish class, having that and learning about that tradition and then getting to cut into the cake. But there's a couple other ones that I found from all over the world. In Japan, there's Toshikoshi Soba, which is a New Year's Eve tradition representing long life and resilience. Bakers have started incorporating buckwheat flour into desserts and cookies and cakes and added symbolism. So lots of amazing traditions. And then obviously in America, there's things like cornbread and you eat black-eyed peas.
I was going to ask about black-eyed peas. I went to a friend's house a couple of years ago and we had black-eyed pea soup because in his family that was a big deal. Do you know what black-eyed peas represent or why cornbread and black-eyed peas are traditional for the New Year's?
I know that cornbread it's supposed to refer to wealth. because it symbolizes gold bars. It's supposed to bring you extra luck and money, and it's supposed to be served with greens, collard greens and black-eyed peas.
I love all these traditions. We don't, in my family, have any particular New Year's traditions. One friend does do something every year where instead of grapes, they slice a pineapple into 12 slices, and everybody gets to eat the number that corresponds to their birthday month.
Oh.
And then you get to analyze the taste of the pineapple and predict what sort of year you're going to
funny.
have, which I thought was fun. I think they may have made it up.
I think I'm allergic to pineapple, so that wouldn't bode well for me.
Oh, no.
That's going to be a bad year for Gemma.
So I know you said that Ireland doesn't necessarily have.
So like I said, so we don't have a New Year's Eve tradition, but we do have on January 6th every year, it's Women's Christmas or Nollaig na Bán, where you're going to love this, ladies, and I'm going to clock this one away for this year. You get to have a day off from housework.
Oh,
Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice?
January 6th?
Yeah, I look forward. I look forward to that day. Yeah. Yeah. Where am I gonna hide in the house for a day that no one's gonna find me?
You know, in the end, I'm hearing all these traditions and I think, well, I don't have any traditions, but as a first generation American, there are a lot of traditions that didn't get brought over into my upbringing, and then a lot of new traditions that have been adopted. And I just want to invite anyone listening, if you don't have a New Year's tradition or any sort of holiday tradition and are sad, make one up. Think about it. What does a holiday mean to you? And then do it every year. And, you know, in a few years, the people around you will think about that as a tradition. It'll be something that, you know, it takes time to build up these traditions. You know, we did these things as kids, and that's why they mean something to us now as adults. But there's no reason why you can't start that, bring up an old one, borrow someone's tradition that you love and make it your own.
Yeah, exactly. Just so you know, you guys can't do Nollaig na Bán. It's just me.
Oh,
Okay, Irish women.
All right. We'll come
Okay,
clean
you
your
guys are
house.
on the clock.
I love that, what you're saying, Ami, because reading all these, I realized I don't think I really have a New Year's tradition, especially around making something. And that I was thinking, like, I should start. Like, what's stopping me from on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day? Like, this is what I'm going to make, and this is going to be my tradition.
When you have kids, that stuff comes into play like straight away, especially coming from a different culture. Like, I'm sure when you're growing up, like, your mom and dad would have shared a lot of that with you. Like, George and I make mince pies, and, like, you know, I love when to see George eat anything, but to see him eat like something that I made, but to see him eat an Irish traditional recipe and him telling his friends here in Los Angeles how he loves mince pies, like, it's just really, like, it just gets me, like, in the heart, you know what I mean? That, like, it's really sweet. So, like, when you do have children, you see the importance of, like, continuing those on, especially when you're outside. Like, I'm outside of Ireland, you know, and he doesn't get to see a lot of that.
Yeah. We are back with the Bold Baking Hotline, where normally we answer questions directly from the audience. But for this week, we actually asked you a question, and that was, what are some of the worst gifts you've ever received? So I have a few that I'm going to share that we can talk about, and then we're going to share some gifts that maybe we weren't too thrilled about. So the first one, and I think this is so on brand for baking and the holiday season, is a mason jar with a cookie recipe in it, because I was afraid that the ingredients inside were stale.
Yes.
Oh,
That is a fair assumption.
Yeah.
I would think the exact same.
I would also think that it's regifted. Like somebody was given that and then
See,
yeah, or something you found in like the discount bin at TJ Maxx.
she just took the words right out of my mouth. I am all about TJ Maxx, but that is where you find in the corner where all the clearance stuff is. That's where you find that stuff. And those chocolate chips and the cocoa powder and whatever is no good.
Yeah. I was once gifted similarly a cornbread kit that was in the shape of a corn. And I genuinely think it might still be in my pantry. I just never used it.
Did it come with the mix?
It did.
Oh.
And I don't know that.
But
to
you
me,
felt the need to hold on to
I felt
it anyway.
maybe it's my emotional support corn bread mix. I don't know where these ingredients came from. But I do feel like we talked about the whitening of chocolate.
Yeah, the blooming.
The blooming a few episodes ago. And I do feel in those jar cookies.
Oh, yeah.
That's like you see those and that just doesn't look appealing. But now we know it's still safe to eat.
Yes, but that
Technically,
lady is right to be suspicious.
Yeah, but the mason jar is useful, so, you know.
That's true.
Mason jar is useful. So the next one is, I got peanut butter filled pretzels, which would be great, but I'm deathly allergic to peanuts.
So someone just giving you a gift and not really knowing you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a shame.
I feel like this comes down to sometimes people feeling obligated to give a gift. You know, so sometimes when my husband and he doesn't do this so much anymore, but we would be on vacation and he would, you know, say, oh, you know, pick up a bunch of those things and then we can just give them as gifts through the year. And I always think gifts should be personal. You know, like I'm not someone who's just like, oh, it's an occasion where I need to put something, I have to wrap something up and give it to somebody.
Yeah. I think what Ami said, it doesn't seem like they knew that person very well, which is okay. It's just, it sounds like I went to the supermarket, got a whole pile of stuff, and then I'm just doling it out over the holidays.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Obviously, she didn't eat it because she messaged about it.
Yeah. The next one says, I got a Kit Kat bar. It would have been okay, but they told me that they were 3 for $2 and they only gave me 1.
This is
Oh my God. It took me a minute. There was 3 for $2 and they only gave you 1.
One of the 3 Kit Kat.
And
bars.
was this a grown adult person?
I'm assuming so.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, this goes back again to like, you know, you can write somebody a nice card. You can take a walk with them. You can give them the gift of your time and your attention. I don't think people need a gift necessarily. Like, you know, there are people who feel like they always have to wrap something up. And
There
and
are.
give it. And
I am not that person.
I don't think so. I think there's a lot of ways to honor someone's presence in your life or give them a moment or, you know, share a coffee with them. There's a lot of ways to have something special. And sometimes a thoughtless gift can feel, or a generic gift, you know, can feel depressing, a little sad to get.
Yeah, that's a lovely sentiment, Ami. And I'm going to follow that with what we said before. Wine.
Yeah.
$12 bottle of wine.
Yeah.
You're done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you keep it in your fridge or whatever, but like wherever it is, and then you just dole it out over the holiday season. No one is ever going to be sorry. And if they don't drink, they're going to gift it to somebody else. So you're doing them a favor.
Bring them to a party or cook with it. Or
Yeah, cook. Yeah, exactly.
And that just made me think of the episode of The Office where the dinner party episode where Pam brings a bottle of wine and Jan goes, oh, this will be great to cook with.
Yeah.
And it's such an insult. So the last one is, he got me a juicer and then said, this has to stay at my house. So he basically bought himself a juicer.
I don't understand that. How can you I mean, first of all, you should never give anyone a gift if you've got any sort of agenda around it. It's not a gift.
Well, now I need to know, what are some of your worst gifts or lack thereof gifts that you've received?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think in general, I mean, this kind of goes back to my theme of, you know, people don't need to be gifted things. I think if you feel like I found the perfect thing for someone and I really want to give it to them, I know they're going to love it. But I've gotten gag gifts, things that are just a joke, like an apron that you put on and it looks like you're wearing lingerie. Like, why would I ever wear that? And all I can think is somebody spent money on this. But before that, some factory manufactured that, and before that, resources were used. And then after I've received it, I'm going to donate this to someone or to a thrift store, or I'm going to throw it away. And it's just going to be waste. It feels like there's a lot of bad gift giving that ends up ultimately being a lot of waste, a waste of money, a waste of space, fills up trash bins. And I think it's unnecessary. So, I would say in general, those are things. I mean, sometimes I've been given things that have meant well. People, or they think it's going to make me laugh. But yeah, in general, like, if it's something silly that, is just going to be a single moment of hilarity that's not consumable, I don't see the point.
Can you tell us, you don't have to say the name, but like what person in relation to you gave you that apron?
Oh gosh, I don't remember. I feel like it was a coworker at a restaurant. I was working at a restaurant or something like that. I mean, I don't even think it was anyone who I knew very well at all. They just saw it and thought it was funny and thought I would think it was funny.
Yeah. It's not.
I mean, it was for a second, and then I think I threw it away.
I will say, I'll admit this, I'm quite difficult to buy for. I like what I like, and what I don't like, I really don't like.
Yeah.
So when it comes to, like, I've learned, Kevin has learned this about me. It's like, tell me what you want. Because otherwise he'll get me something that he thinks I want. And then I can't help but make the face because, you know, my face. And then he's upset. And then I'm upset because I got a crap gift. And, but so now it's just like, I tell him what I want. So I wanted a reheatable mug that like, you know, a rechargeable mug.
Oh, yeah.
Last Christmas I got that and I love it. I use it every day. There's certain things like a vacuum. This is so sad. A vacuum sealing machine. They're the best. I asked him for that. Best Christmas present ever. It's a gift that keeps on giving.
I think this is the secret to a happy marriage.
It is. Just do what I say.
Yeah, get me exactly what I want I want it.
Also, there's you know, I think when we're giving gifts, we have to take our own agenda and emotion out of it, and give someone a gift with a gift receipt. Say, I want you to enjoy this. If it's not something that you need or want, replace it with something that you do want. I don't think there's anything wrong with doing that.
Well, thank you both so much. I'm sorry to everyone who has received not so great gifts, but I'm glad we all can laugh about it. But now, Gemma, I think it's time you bring out this wine pie for us to try.
I don't even, your world is about to be turned upside down.
I can't wait.
Okay, ladies, you ready?
Wow.
Oh my God.
So let me tell you about this pie. Even before we eat it took, so she said, the girl in the video said 7 minutes in the oven at 350 degrees.
She said 7 minutes?
At 7 minutes.
Okay, how did that set?
It took 2 hours. Oh. To get it to this. And I don't even know if it's fully set. It is set. It is set now.
2 hours?
2 hours. I had to put tinfoil over it to stop it from like getting too brown. 2 hours it took to bake this pie.
I'm scared.
I did exactly what she said. I did wine, not a bottle of wine. You bring it up to the pastry. You put in the sugar, the flour, and the cinnamon and the vanilla. So I honestly, as much as I love wine, look at you know what? It's even soft.
Wow. Do you have are you going to be able to scoop that out?
No. There's so many types of wrong, you know? Sorry. Okay, you ready? Okay. Joey, can you see this? Yeah. What's it doing over there?
It looks like juicy.
No. Let me tell you, I did, like I said this before, I did not use good wine for this. Which that's not what's going to make it taste bad, by the way.
I just don't understand.
Why? Like, why? My question is why? Why would you do this? Look at this, 2 hours in the oven and it's still not even set. And it's probably kind of like hard on top.
Right, yeah. Look, it has this sort of
how did she do it? Guys, I think this video was a joke, right?
I mean, she was laughing the whole time. But then her friend who tried it was like, it's not bad. Right.
I think they might have been drunk. I'm not messing. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Here we go. I'm trying.
Wow. All right.
I'm going to be safe and I'm going to go for this crust part.
Oh.
I'm scared. Wait, I haven't tried it yet.
Try me into the microphone again.
Oh. All right.
I don't think I can eat this.
Oh, wow.
This would be improved by better wine. I'm going to say that the wine definitely you can taste the wine.
Sorry, right? Ami. No.
But it's texturally, it's sort of gelatinous on top.
It would not be improved by better wine. I have to argue with you there. This is a bad idea. Even if you used a $40 bottle of wine. This is a no. This is not a thing. Let's not make this a thing. Anybody who's watching or listening to this, forget this ever happened.
Okay, I'm going to say
I was going to eat another bite. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, I know. No, I'm going to say you could make like a fruit pie, like a blackberry pie or a blueberry pie, and you could put some red wine in it, and it would actually probably be good. Just saying. Okay. Don't just do all wine. It has a weird texture. But next time you do some like an open-faced, we have a lovely, I think we have a blackberry pie that's sort of, you cook it on the stovetop. If you replace the water that you're cooking the blackberries down on with wine, I think you have something there. So I'll go back to my whole thing of exploring any idea is always worth it. Making mistakes is always worth it.
No.
Because
No.
I have an idea. I have an idea.
This is going
This
away.
is not-
You've lost your privileges. You've lost your privileges.
And Ami did not
No.
make it to 2025.
No. Ami. That's all we need from you.
Not wrong. Try it. I'm gonna make it for you. I'm just gonna say it's a blackberry pie, and then you're gonna be like, "This is the most delicious thing I've ever had."
No.
It's not. I can see how this might. You can take an idea from this experience.
You don't have to put a positive spin on everything. Some stuff is just crap, and this is crap.
Okay, look, this is obviously a terrible pie. The texture is wrong, but the flavor is not totally wrong. Like it has a fruitiness to it that would work with berries, especially dark berries, like blackberries or blueberries. I'm not wrong.
You're not right.
Wrong.
I'll tell you that for nothing.
And with that, we will conclude 2024. Thank you both for your participation. Gemma, thank you for making this pie for us. I'm sorry. And thank you all for tuning in for us at Need to Know. Please like, subscribe, rate, and review us wherever you listen to podcasts. And you can catch every episode of Need to Know on YouTube. We hope you all have a happy new year.
From HRN and the Bold Baking Network, you are watching the Need to Know Baking Entertainment podcast.